আছি আমরা। കരിനിയമങ്ങളെ വെണ്ണീറാക്കിയ കർഷക സമരത്തിയിൽ കുതികൊള്ളുന്ന കലാലയ തലമുറ പടകൂട്ടും പാതകളിൽ. പുന്നപ്രയിൽ വയലാറിൽ വീണു മരിച്ചവർ വന്നു വിളിക്കുന്നു. വീരതലങ്കാനയിൽ നിന്നും ധീരന്മാരുടെ പോർവിളികൾ. ഇന്ത്യയെ ഒന്നായി മുന്നിൽ നയിക്കാൻ ഒരു പ്രസ്ഥാനം മാത്രം. നവയുഗ ഇന്ത്യ വളർത്തിയെടുക്കാൻ ഉയരും ചെങ്കൊടി മാത്രം.
മണ്ണിനായി മനുഷ്യനായി ചോര കൊടുത്തത് ഞങ്ങൾ, എന്നും പോരാടിയതും ഞങ്ങൾ. ജനാധിപത്യം മതേതരത്വം കശാപ്പ് ചെയ്യും ഫാസിസ്റ്റുകളെ നെഞ്ചു കൊടുത്തു ചെറുക്കുന്നവർ.
കന്യാകുമാരി വരെ ഈ കരയിൽ ചെങ്കൊടി ആഞ്ഞു പറക്കുന്നു. ചെങ്കടലാർത്തു വിളിക്കുന്നു.
മണ്ണിനായി മനുഷ്യനായി ചോര കൊടുത്തത് ഞങ്ങൾ, എന്നും പോരാടിയതും ഞങ്ങൾ. ജനാധിപത്യം മതേതരത്വം കശാപ്പ് ചെയ്യും ഫാസിസ്റ്റുകളെ നെഞ്ചു.
Dear comrades and friends, I formally declare the 23rd Party Congress of the CPIM open, and we begin our inaugural session at the moment. 10:30 is the time we had given. So I propose Comrade Manik Sarkar to be the president of this inaugural session, and he will take over as the president and conduct the business for this inaugural session.
Comrade Sitaram Yechury, General Secretary of the Communist Party of India, Marxist. My colleague, Politburo member sitting on the dais, our invited guest, Comrade D. Raja, General Secretary CPI, he is also sitting on the dais. Delegates observers, invited honored guests, friends, and well-wisher of our party, Communist Party of India, Marxist. With this, I now read before you the Martyrs' Resolution. The 23rd Congress of the Communist Party of India, Marxist. SDPI Guns, Shayad Midhihalaj, Haq Muhammad, and Dhiraj Rajendran, who were killed by Congress hoodlums, and Abdul Rahman, who was murdered by Muslim League hooligans in Kerala. Tapos Sutradhar, Onima Das, Mukondo Mohori, Madan Namo, Nokul Saha, Tufan Debbarma, Deepen Devnath, Shibu Chaudhary, Islam Mia, Bishwajit Dev, Sushital Dev, Mangaldhan Chakma, Golam Mohammad Tripura, Girendra Tripura, Narayan Chandra Das, Monindra Devnath, Pradeep Namo, Benu Vishwas, all comrades who were killed by the BJP hoodlums in Tripura. Rana Bahadur Debbarma and Pradeep Debbarma, who were killed by IPFT goons in Tripura. Maidul Islam Midda by the police, Somen Kundu by criminals associated with the TMC, Haizul Mandal, Debu Das, Usha Das, Taimur Gyan, Opu Manna, Jogeshwar Ghosh, Vishnu Tudu, Maibul Hek, Ramzan Mia, Muzaffar Ahmed, Lutful Haq, Nityagopal Bala, Mir Hakarat Ali, Ajay Mandal, Khet Mazur, SK Kamrul, Tanmay Santra, Raju Haldar, Nizmul Karim, Nizamuddin Mandal, Surjakanto Hembram, Babulal Biswas, Saifur Rahman, P.R. Ali Mullah, Dev Kumar Bhuiya, Guruchand Rai, Rafiq Alam, Kasmat Sheikh, Kader Mandal, Kakoli Khetrapal, Badal Sheikh, and Sumal Kundu, all of whom were killed by Trinamool Congress gangsters in West Bengal. Jesuit priest and activist Stan Swami from Jharkhand, who died in custody. The Communist Party of India, Marxist, will always cherish the memory of these martyrs. It pleases to continue the fight to fulfill their unfinished task. Let us stand silent for some time. Thank you. Now, I read the Condolence Resolution. Members and former members of the Central Committee, the 23rd Congress of the Communist Party of India Marxist pays homage to the memory of Nirupam Sen, a former member of the Politburo and an outstanding leader of the party. He died on December 24, 2018, after a prolonged illness at the age of 72. Beginning his political life as a student activist, Nirupam Sen joined the party in 1964 and played an active role in various struggles of the peasantry and the working class in Burdwan. He played a key role in expanding the party in Burdwan district, where he served as the secretary of the district committee from 1989 to 1995. He was elected to the West Bengal State Committee in 1985 and to the Central Committee in 1998 and to the Politburo in 2008. He was the Industry and Commerce Minister in the Left-Front government for 2 terms. Nirupam Sen was an articulate exponent of Marxism and wrote extensively for party papers. K. Varadarajan, a former member of the Politburo and a special invitee to the Central Committee of the party, he died on May 16, 2020. He was 73 years old. Varadarajan joined the party in 1970. He became a member of the Tamil Nadu State Committee of the party in 1978 and of the Central Committee in 1998. He functioned from the party center in Delhi as member of the Central Secretariat and as a Politburo member from 2002 to 2015. Working in the Kisan Sabha, Varadarajan was elected as the secretary of the Tamil Nadu unit of the All India Kisan Sabha in 1986 and went on to become its All India General Secretary in 1998. Varadarajan remained underground for 2 years during the emergency and was also arrested and jailed. Bijandhar, a member of the Central Committee and former secretary of the Tripura State Committee of the party, he died on October 11, 2021 while undergoing treatment for COVID. He was 70 years old. Bijandhar was actively involved in the student movement in the 1970s. He was elected to the State Committee of the party in 1978 and as the secretary of the Tripura State Committee of the party in 2008. He was elected to the Central Committee of the party in 2002. As secretary of the State Committee for nearly a decade, he made an important contribution to building the party organization there. During the emergency in 1975 to 77, he had remained underground for more than a year before he was subsequently arrested and jailed for 5 months. Comrade Gautam Das, a member of the Central Committee and secretary of the Tripura State Committee for the party, he died on September 16, 2021 while undergoing treatment for COVID. He was 70 years old. He was the founding editor of the daily Desher Kotha in 1979, a responsibility he discharged with distinction until 2015. He was also very active in the cultural movement and was founder secretary of the Tripura Sanskrita Samanvay Kendra. He joined the party in 1968, was elected to the Tripura State Committee in 1989, to the State Secretariat in 1994, and as its secretary in 2018. He was elected to the Central Committee at the 21st Congress of the party in 2015. Comrade Shyamol Chakraborty, a member of the Central Committee of the party, died of COVID-related complications on August 6, 2020. He was 77 years old. Shyamol Chakraborty joined the Undivided Communist Party in 1960. He was elected to the West Bengal Legislative Assembly for 4 terms and served as Minister for Transport for 9 years. He was also elected to the Rajya Sabha for a term. He was associated with various unions of workers. He discharged responsibilities in the Center of Indian Trade Unions in various capacities, including serving as the president of his West Bengal unit. He was elected to the State Committee of the party in 1978 and the Central Committee in 2002. He was jailed for a period of a year and stayed underground for 6 months. Comrade Mahendra Singh, a member of the Central Committee and a veteran leader of the party in Maharashtra, died on July 4. He was 77 years old. He joined the CPM in 1971 and was elected to the CPM Maharashtra State Committee in 1987, to the State Secretariat in 1991, and to the Central Committee in 2015. He remained in the position till his death. He was Secretary of the Communist Party of India Marxist Mumbai District Committee from 1994 to 2015 and played a major role in sustaining and developing the party in Mumbai. Comrade Malu Swarajam. Malu Swarajam, veteran leader of the party and legendary fighter of the Telangana People's Armed Struggle. She was a special invitee to the Central Committee. She died on March 19, 2022. She was 91. Malu Swarajam participated in the Telangana Armed Struggle from 1946 to 1951. She was elected twice to the Legislative Assembly of the United Andhra Pradesh. Comrade Ganesh Shankar Vidyarthi, a former member of the Central Committee of the party and a veteran of the communist movement in Bihar. He died on August 12, 2018 at the age of 86. He was the secretary of the Bihar State Committee of the party from 2005 to 2015. A militant leader, he led various struggles of the poor and landless peasants. He was General Secretary of the Bihar unit of the All India Kisan Sabha for a long time and also a member of the All India Kisan Council. Mohar Singh, former member of the Central Committee and former Secretary of Himachal Pradesh State Committee of the party. He died on January 11, 2019 at the age of 68. He was Secretary of the Himachal Pradesh State Committee from 1991 to 2004. He was elected to the Central Committee at the 16th Congress and continued till its 18th Congress in 2005. He played a key role in expanding the party in the state. Comrade Bajuban Riang, former member of the Central Committee and a veteran leader of the party in Tripura. He died on February 21, 2020. He was aged 80. He was a minister in the years old. He played a key role in building the Communist Party in Nellore district. He also served as an MLA for 2 terms. Now, members and former members of State Committee. I am not reading out the names, etc. I just mentioned. From Andhra, Andaman and Nicobar, 1 comrade. Andhra Pradesh, 6 comrades. Assam, 5 comrades. Bihar, 6 comrades. Chhattisgarh, 3 comrades. Goa, 2 comrades. Gujarat, 2 comrades. Haryana, 7 comrades. Jammu and Kashmir, 2 comrades. Jharkhand, 8 comrades. Karnataka, 3 comrades. Kerala, 4 comrades. Madhya Pradesh, 5 comrades. Maharashtra, 5 comrades. Manipur, 4 comrades. Odisha, 6 comrades. Punjab, 4 comrades. Rajasthan, 1 comrade. Tamil Nadu, 13 comrades. Telangana, 4 comrades. Tripura, 13 comrades. Uttar Pradesh, 3 comrades. Uttarakhand, 3 comrades. West Bengal, 10 comrades. Party Center, 2 comrades. And 1 comrade working in People's Science and Public Health Movement, that is Amit Sen Gupta. The 23rd Congress of the Communist Party of India Marxist pays respectful tributes to the memory of these leaders who have departed since the 22nd Congress of the party. At the national level, the 23rd Comrade pays homage to Comrade Gurudas Dasgupta, veteran leader of the Communist Party of India and prominent trade union leader. Aizaz Ahmed, well-known Marxist theoretician and intellectual. Samir Amin, renowned Marxist thinker. Ashok Mitra, prominent economist and former minister in the West Bengal Left-Front government. Somnath Chatterjee, former speaker, eminent parliamentarian. K.R. Gauri Amma, former minister and politician. M. Karunanidhi, veteran of the Dravidian movement, DMK president, former chief minister. A.K. Roy, veteran leader of the working class movement. Nambar Singh, former president of the All India Progressive Writers Association. Professor D.N. Jha, renowned Marxist historian. Masirul Hosan, noted historian. Girish Karnad, progressive writer, director, theatre personality and an actor. Soumitra Chattopadhyay, renowned actor, playwright, poet and lifelong associate of the left movement. Krishna Sapti, renowned Hindi fiction writer. S.P. Balasubramaniam, noted singer and musician. K.P. A.C. Lalita, renowned theatre and film actress. At the international level, the 23rd Congress pays tribute to the memory of Li Peng, former president of People's Republic of China. Tran Dang Quang, president of Vietnam. Du Mao, former general secretary of the Communist Party of Vietnam and former prime minister of the Socialist Republic of Vietnam. Dimitris Christofias, former general secretary of the AKEL and former president of Cyprus. Sean Garland, veteran leader of the Workers' Party, Ireland. I would now request you all to stand for a while to pay our respectful regard to them. Thank you. Now, I would request Comrade Pinarai Vijay, Chairman of the Reception Committee, to welcome the gathering.
Dear comrades, today the 23rd Party Congress of the Communist Party of India Marxist is opening here at Kannur. As many of you are aware, Kannur has a valiant history of a series of historic struggles by peasants and working class against exploitative class relations that were sought to be protected by the imperial regime in the last century. Kannur is hosting the party congress for the first time. Prior to this, 4 party congresses have been held in Kerala at Palakkad, Kochi, Thiruvananthapuram and Kozhikode. Kannur is the birthplace of Comrade AKG, a towering communist leader in the country. Comrade Adikodan Raghavan, who was martyred while serving as the convener of the Left Front, was also a native of Kannur. The CPIM's former state secretaries, Comrades C.H. Kannur, E.K. Nayanar and Chadiyan Govindan also hailed from Kannur. It needs mention here that Parappuram in Kannur district was the venue of the meeting held in 1939 December, which resulted in the formation of the Communist Party in Kerala. The comrades who participated in the meeting were activists of the freedom movement and were then functioning within the Congress as leaders of the Congress Socialist Party. The conference elected Comrade P. Krishna Pillai as the first secretary of the Kerala State Committee. Krishna Pillai is a legendary figure, and the name Comrade in Malayalam Saghav is associated with his name. 2 years prior to this, in 1937, the first cell of the Communist Party in Kerala was formed with the participation of S.V. Ghate. The communists have been in the forefront of anti-imperialist, anti-feudal struggles and have been the leading lights in the agitations of the working class for a decent livelihood and civil rights. In the 1940s, party comrades led heroic struggles against the oppressive feudal relations and rag trending. The abject misery of the peasants was sought to be alleviated by organizing them and giving them courage to question the feudal order and be part of agitations to overthrow the same to realize a better tomorrow. The Communist Party in Kannur has its origins in the various peasants and workers' struggles that emerged as part of India's fight for freedom. As part of the anti-war movement, which formed an essential part of the anti-colonial struggle, the party organized workers and peasants as well the general public in the wake of famine and price rise. Morada, Mattanur, Talasheri and Kuthuvaramba were the 4 centers in which the struggle took place. It was during this struggle that 2 of our comrades were martyred in police firing effects of war-induced famine continued and was amplified by the feudal lords who hoarded food grains. Struggles were conducted to capture hoarded rice and to distribute it amongst the people. In Karivallur, two of our comrades lost their lives in police firing as they were resisting gundas of feudal lords who were trying to hoard grains. In Kavambai, police fired at a meeting of farmers and 5 comrades lost their lives. In this period, several struggles took place in Muniyangunna, Tillangeri, Korom, Padikun and so on too. Even in independent India, the party had to wage struggles to secure the rights of the toiling masses. Under the leadership of the party, 1948 in Unchiyam and 1949 in Shuranad, resulting in the martyrdom of many comrades. Besides the founders of our movement, comrades P. Krishnapillai, A.K. Gopalan and EMS have been the leading lights in fighting against discrimination imposed on people based on caste and creed. In the agitation for temple entry, our leaders faced severe attacks from the agents of Western interests who represented the outdated social order. Krishnapillai's and AKG's role in Guruvayur Satyagraha, which aimed for temple entry for the oppressed castes, and the lead taken by EMS against discriminatory practices followed by the rigid caste system, took the Renaissance movement far ahead and paved the way for progressive thinking and innovative legislations in the future. At the dawn of independence, the Congress Party, which came to power, conveniently sidestepped the nationalist slogan of linguistic organization of states in Kerala, in India. The communists championed this cause in Kerala and other parts of the country. Since the latter half 1940s, the demand for Aikya Keralam was articulated in the book Keralam Malayaligalde Madrubhumi, authored by Comrade EMS. Party was in the forefront of this movement in several states. In the Travancore region, Communist Party led the movement against the American model of the Divan, C.P. Ramaswamy Iyer. The Punnapravailar struggle, led by kayar workers in Alappuzha under the guidance of the Communist Party, put paid to the anti-national ambitions of the Divan and the princely rule. During 1948-1952, our comrades had to face severe state repression and many had to go underground and organize the party. Despite attempts to suppress the movement, our popular support grew. This was because of the organic link our leaders developed with the masses, comprising agriculture workers and other sections of toiling masses. Eventually, we formed the government in Kerala on our own in 1957. The democratically elected communist government was sworn in on April 5th and could last for 28 months till it was dismissed by misusing Article 356 of the Indian Constitution. The undemocratic and anti-federal act of the center evoked countrywide protests. The vested interests in Kerala joined hands based on caste and communal politics against progressive measures initiated by the communist government in land relations and refused to abide by the central fiat to break the strike of central government employees in 1968 by deploying paramilitary forces. In 1956, preceding the assumption of office by the Communist Party, we had adopted a resolution in our Thrissur party conference specifying the way in which the agrarian relations need to be redefined. It acted as a catalyst and formed the basis for the 1957 government to act upon. It acted strictly on the guidelines that formed part of the Thrissur resolution. Taking a cue from it, we, in our state conference held last month, did adopt a document that would go a long way in ushering in a modern Kerala that, on the one hand, redresses the grievances of the downtrodden and on the other builds up a modern developed state. I am happy to assure the party congress that the present LDF government will act on those lines. Our party had to brave the excesses of the regime during the emergency of 1975-77. We could effectively counter all designs of the ruling classes to break our party and keep it permanently out of to form government. Minuscule minority, a dismantling of the public sector, free movement of speculative capital, concessions to the corporate rich are the measures which have caused widening of economic inequality and deterioration of standards of living of the poor. The Congress and BJP governments have been following the same set of policies. Our party, along with other left parties, has been consistently organizing mass movements against these anti-people measures, and we have taken up this campaign in right earnest in Kerala. We have shown the way not only in the field of struggles but also in successfully implementing alternative policies within the limited power available for the state government. We are in times when the federal nature of our polity is under attack. State governments' limited financial powers are being further restricted, be it through GST or by imposing conditions on borrowings. At the same time, the states are expected to meet the expenses in the social sector. Even amidst such challenges, the present LDF government, which is in a continuation of the past left governments, is focusing on rapid development of infrastructure and ensuring social security. We propose to eliminate extreme poverty, provide food security, and aim to give secure homes to every homeless family, a clean environment, make internet as a right of every citizen, render public services hassle-free to every person, generate productive employment by revitalizing agricultural sector through value addition, incentivizing small and medium-scale industries by simplifying procedures and creating an environment in the state. We have been in the forefront of empowering the local governments by transferring funds, functions, and functionaries. This has made democratic decentralization and people's planning meaningful. Through the Life Mission, a project of the state government, 2.79 lakh families have been provided secure homes. In the infrastructural sector, we have leaped ahead by successfully increasing power generation, widening of national highways, creating good quality schools and hospitals, successfully initiating industrial corridors, etc. We are also trying our best to implement the semi-high-speed rail system, making possible travel from the southernmost district to the northernmost district in Kerala in a time span of 4 hours, by making all efforts to get to the approval from the central government. The opposition parties in the state are raising arguments which defy logic to stall this project. Our government believes in developing infrastructure while doing justice by ensuring fair compensation to people who have to move out of their homes. Our party is organizing mass campaigns to drive home this point. Economic growth, social justice, and protection of environment are being given equal importance while implementing projects by the state government. In the 2021 Assembly elections, the LDF could come back to power, unsettling the trend of alternate innings of rival fronts in power. People of the state reposed their faith in our party and the LDF, which have always stood for democratic rights and secular values. The BJP, which ran a high voltage campaign in the state, could not win a single seat, and it lost its lone sitting seat in the last assembly election. The vote share of the BJP came down from 15.01% in 2016 to 12.47% in 2021. Bewildered by the popular support we are getting, our opponents, including the Sangh Parivar, other communal organizations, and the Congress, are resorting to mindless violence which has taken precious lives of many of our comrades. We have been displaying immense patience, and people of the state are well aware of this. I have great pleasure in welcoming you to Kannur, the land of revolutionary struggles and communal harmony. It is also fondly called as the land of looms and lores. We are meeting here at a time when the threat of the pandemic is receding. It is with great enthusiasm that our comrades have taken up the task of organizing this historic party congress in Kannur. Our venue is Nayanar Academy, named after the freedom fighter and the popular communist and former state secretary, Comrade E.K. Nayanar, who has a special place in the minds of the people, especially the common public. He is fondly remembered in the state as an affable leader and a great communist. I welcome the party General Secretary, Comrade Sitaram Yechury, CPI's General Secretary, Comrade D. Raja, and all PB members, Central Committee members, and all participants to Kannur, the venue of the 23rd Party Congress. Our nation is now in an important juncture, so our Party Congress is keenly watched by the political observers. I wish you a pleasant and comfortable stay and participation in discussions which will give shape to our party's policies in the coming
all the members of the Politburo here on the dais, members of the Central Committee, esteemed guests, delegates, and observers to the 23rd Party Congress. My dear comrades and friends, it gives me a great pleasure to thank you all for accepting our invitation. I am joining this inaugural session of this 23rd Congress of the Communist Party of India, Marxist. We are gratified at the presence of eminent public figures, distinguished veteran leaders of the communist movement, and leaders of various contingents of the people's struggles. I wish to thank Comrade D. Raja for his physical presence here to greet our Congress. Comrades Devvrata Bishwas, General Secretary, All India Forward Bloc, Comrade Manoj Bhattacharya, General Secretary, Revolutionary Socialist Party, Comrade Dipankar Bhattacharya, General Secretary of the CPI, ML Liberation, for Pinarayi, from whose name our Chief Minister, our Politburo member, our leader draws his name, village, hosted the first Communist Party conference in Kerala. The legends of the communist movement, Comrade P. Krishnapilla, Comrade A.M.S. Nambudripad, Comrade A.K. Gopalan, and many others were delegates to this conference. With Comrade P. Krishnapilla as the secretary, the Communist Party started functioning initially from a place called Chirakkal in Kannur, braving intense repression, often having to work from underground, particularly when the party was banned. These dedicated comrades carried forward the revolutionary struggles, laying the foundation for the communist movement in Kerala and for the communist movement, in that sense, contributing to the communist movement in India. The anticipatory vision of the communists, their dedicated struggles, earned the confidence to make the Kerala communist movement a formidable outpost for the Indian revolutionary movement. The organizing committee for this Congress has compiled this rich history, revolutionary history of Kannur, in a small booklet called Kannur, the Red Land. That is being circulated to all of you, and I only appeal to all of you to just read it so that we can draw the necessary inspiration for galvanizing the party in today's conditions. And in the challenges that we face in today's conditions, it's most appropriate that this 23rd Party Congress is being held here in Kannur, and we are determined to draw the inspiration from this land in order to strengthen the Communist Party and the Communist movement in the country, which is of vital importance. Dear comrades and friends, for more than 4 years since the last Party Congress, or during these 4 years, it was exactly in April 2018 that we last met. For more than 2 of these 4 years, the world has been plagued, including India, by the COVID pandemic. This has wreaked havoc, disrupting the lives of millions of people. Even before this pandemic, and the conditions in India at the same time have also demonstrated that where a year 2020 alone, the total wealth of the world billionaires grew by $10.2 trillion, while the people were suffering from the various issues that I pointed out. And in India, the top 10 people, 10 individuals, during the course of the pandemic, have grown their wealth to hold 57% of our country's wealth, as opposed to the share of the bottom 50% of our people, who actually have a share of only 13% of the wealth. This is predatory capitalism at its worst that we are seeing. Now, in this quest to control the government so that these predatory policies can be followed, the market political rightward shift is taking place in every country. This rightward shift in politics is to ensure governments that will promote neoliberal policies and at the same time disrupt the growing unity of the working people in struggles against this double whammy attack of the pandemic and the economic recession. And this disruption, the political right seeks through appealing to emotional passions, fostering divisive appeals, promoting racism, xenophobia, religious sectarianism, fundamentalism, parochialism, and in the Indian context, communalism. This rightward shift is to sustain this neoliberal order, at the same time to ensure that the unity of the working people in struggles does not reach levels where it can threaten the rule of capital itself. And that has to be prevented. This political rightward shift is the answer of the ruling classes. But this is being resisted. You have countervailing forces that have actually resisted and advanced. And the most classic case, inspiring case, is that in Latin America, where you have, in many countries, the left democratic and progressive forces, a combination of them, electorally defeating the political right and forming the governments there. As a digression from the written text, I can mention Chile. 50 years ago, when my generation was growing up, was the centerpiece of the launching of neoliberalism with the ouster of the Allende government and the Pinochet dictatorship that would come in by US imperialism. Now in that Chile, 50 years later, you have a democratically elected, left-oriented government with 3 members of the Communist Party of Chile holding very, very important positions. Yes, where people have united and fought, this can be resisted, and that has been demonstrated through the Latin American experience, and also in some parts of the Europe, where in your Scandinavian countries, they have defeated the political right. But in this process, the quest for global hegemony by US imperialism continues to aggravate. In the post-COVID situation, this quest for global hegemony is sought to be directed to ensure that no country or no force can actually challenge US imperialism. And in that, the main target of US imperialism today is China. The global rise of the socialist China has actually posed this threat whereby US imperialism has shifted gear from this earlier strategy of containment of China to what it today pursuing, the isolation of China. And in the process of isolation of China, it's mobilizing all its allies, all its Western allies. And in this process, it is creating conditions in the world which will have serious ramifications for the social contradictions that exist in the world today at the international level. Now, when this has been going on, came the Ukraine war. Today is the 42nd day of this war in Ukraine. We have said the war must immediately stop. There must be a ceasefire, and through negotiations that must be done. But we must realize that this is a war actually between Russia and US and NATO. And Ukraine is the theater where this war is being waged. And this has been caused by the relentless expansion of NATO, which should not have existed after the Soviet Union's disintegration. Expansion of NATO to the Russia's borders, where they have 175,000 combat troops stationed on Russia's borders. All Eastern European countries have become NATO members except Ukraine and Georgia. This effort to make Ukraine a member of the NATO and pose the threat is the provocation for this war. And whatever this provocation, but the war must end. This must be ensured that there is no eastward expansion of NATO any longer. And this must be ensured, but at the current moment, the war continues to rage on. But the actual culprit behind this is the quest for global hegemony by US imperialism, which is the reason for NATO's expansion. Now, in this context, while this war has set in, many more developments that will have international ramifications, along with the US imperialism's thrust for strengthening its hegemony. In this context, the role of India has come into focus, with India consistently abstaining on all anti-Russia resolutions in the United Nations. During the last 7 years, particularly, there's been a trend happening earlier, but during these last 7 years, under this BJP rule, India was taken to a position where its status as a subordinate junior ally of US imperialism was cemented. We've joined imperialist alliances, imperialist military arrangements, and with lots of treaties, India became a junior partner of US imperialism. But with the war in Ukraine, the futility of taking up this sort of a direction in India's foreign policy of becoming an appendage to US imperialism, that futility has been thoroughly exposed. It is clear from these developments that India has to pursue an independent foreign policy, maintaining the supremacy of its own national interests first, and not becoming an appendage to any imperialist bloc. And therefore, the time has come for this Modi government to reconsider withdrawing from the Quad, which is a military alliance with USA, Australia and Japan, and with military exercises being conducted. India should start distancing itself from the Quad and should actually think in terms of exiting the Quad, because in these conditions of today, after the Ukraine war, in these new conditions, this future this entire futility is legalizing political corruption and simultaneously imposing a full-fledged authoritarianism and authoritarian state apparatus with the complete attack on the democratic rights and civil liberties of individuals that are guaranteed by the Constitution. What we therefore see is the undermining of the Indian Constitution and change the character of the Indian Republic. All the four fundamental pillars, foundational pillars of the Indian Constitution, that is secular democracy, federalism, social justice, and economic sovereignty. Every single of these fundamental pillars is under assault today. The implementation of the fascistic RSS agenda of their Hindutva Rashtra requires a unitary state structure, which is completely contradictory to the federal state structure that is given in our Indian Constitution. So to achieve this objective, they are simultaneously undermining, that is the government, BJP government, undermining the independence and authority of every single institution created by the Indian Constitution, beginning from the Parliament itself. Laws are made without any discussion whatsoever. The judiciary, the election commission, the CBI, the ED, every one of these independent institutions, their independence is being compromised, and there is a determined attempt also in this process to aggressively carry forward this agenda while not paying any concern whatsoever to the problems that people are facing. There's no question of any relief to all the mishandling of the COVID pandemic by this central government. We have seen the manner in which corpses have floated on rivers like the Ganga. But the concern for people's livelihood, their growing unemployment, their hunger, their poverty, none of that has any priority with this government. On the contrary, today I think is the 14th time that the price of petrol has been hiked, petrol and diesel. You have this constant daily rises in the prices leading to a galloping inflation, which is compounding the miseries of the people. But at the same time, when they are ruining the lives of the majority of our people, pursuing this direction of undermining our Constitution and its independent institutions, it has succeeded which we must recognize in creating an overarching Hindutva identity in our country, which is the mainstay, that is the sharpening of communal polarization through the spread of hatred and violence, polarizing the Indian society. This sharpening of communal polarization is the main stay for their political and electoral mobilization. That reality we must recognize. So therefore, under these circumstances, it is essential that the BJP has to be isolated and defeated in order to strengthen the people's struggles for a better life, to safeguard the secular democratic character of the Indian Republic and the Indian Constitution. Isolating the BJP cannot be achieved only electorally, but it will have to be undertaken by conducting sustained efforts in the political, ideological and cultural social spheres. This 23rd Party Congress will discuss the concrete steps that need to be undertaken to strengthen the struggle against this Hindutva agenda. The foremost task before us in this Congress, therefore, is to focus on substantially increasing the independent strength of the CPIM and its political intervention capacities. On this basis, to strengthen the unity of the left forces, sharpening class and mass struggles. And on that basis of these struggles, to forge the unity of left and democratic forces on the basis of an alternative program, which will be the alternative to the ruling bourgeois landlord classes. And in order to defeat the BJP, to forge the broadest possible front of all secular forces against Hindutva communalism. These four measures are the direction in which we'll concretize in this Congress deliberations, how we'll proceed on this basis. And therefore the CPIM appeals to all left secular democratic forces to come together in order to isolate and defeat the BJP. All political parties that proclaim secularism must rise to the occasion to discharge this patriotic duty. The Congress Party, along with some other regional parties, must set their houses in order and decide where they stand to safeguard the secular democratic character of the Indian Republic. With the world today acclaiming Kerala's high-ranking human development indices, and this achievement has been on the basis of these principles of upholding secularism, respecting equality, and with a pro-people policy alternative. The CPIM shall resolve to strengthen the efforts for building a strong Communist Party, stronger left unity, and forging of a left democratic front. We seek the cooperation of the Indian people and appeal to all Indian patriots to jointly resolve to safeguard our constitutional republic, strengthen the struggles for an alternative pro-people policies, and by forging the broadest front of secular forces against Hindutva communalism. Comrades and friends, we are meeting on a day 32 years ago. We lost one of our veteran communists, one of our Navaratnas, Comrade B.T. Randeve. On this day, 32 years ago. We recollect his memory, his contributions to the revolutionary cause, and the inspiration continues to remain in order to advance. Along with all the martyrs that we have remembered today, all the martyrs of the past that Comrade Reception Committee Chairman Pinarayi Vijayan's speech referred to, and along with all those who have sacrificed to create a better India, we are determined as the CPIM to carry forward this struggle. Finally, to all of you to strengthen the political alternative in your countries while we shall strive to strengthen it in our country, because the future, the only future that human civilization can ever have is that of socialism, and we shall march towards that socialism, strengthening ourselves. So that is the message we want to convey to these parties, and I thank you all for coming and joining us in this inaugural session. My red salutes to all of you.
Thank you, Comrade Sitaram Yechuri. Now, I would invite Comrade D. Raja, General Secretary, Communist Party of India, to address this gathering as a fraternal delegate.
Comrade Sitaram Yechuri, Comrade Pinarayi Vijayan, dear comrades and friends, on behalf of the Communist Party of India, I extend revolutionary greetings to the 23rd Congress of the Communist Party of India, Marxists. I express my sincere thanks for inviting me to the inaugural session. Dear comrades, the 23rd Congress of the CPM is taking place in Kerala, which made history for democratically electing a communist government 6 decades back in 1957. Since then, all through these years, Kerala has remained a unique center of the left and democratic movement in our country. The preeminence that Kerala achieved on this score is based on the innumerable struggles and movements launched by the people, which immensely contributed to the freedom movement, and subsequently during the post-independent period for creating an alternative communist-led model of government, which is people-centric. Dear comrades, your Congress is taking place at a critical time when the country is facing unprecedented attacks from the right-wing forces on the very fundamentals of our Indian Republic. However, the future is not bleak as the masses, workers, farmers, women, youth, students, and all other sections of the working people are in no mood to take the anti-people divisive moves lying low. They are out on the streets to safeguard their hard-earned rights. After the financial meltdown of 2008-9, the rise of right-wing authoritarianism became a global phenomenon as neoliberal, pro-corporate forces captured power in many parts of the world. Those forces are bent upon destroying the progressive, inclusive, and scientific achievements of the humanity. The fascist forces have already expanded their bases alarmingly in Germany and other European countries, taking advantage of the unrest due to falling living standards, growing unemployment, inflation, etc. We see a strong and a steep arms race once again, fueled largely by the United States military-industrial complex. The latest in the series of imperialist advances is the attempt by imperialist forces led by the US and the NATO to destabilize peace and security at the cost of lives of both Russians and Ukrainians. In our neighborhood too, there is massive unrest and instability in Afghanistan, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Nepal, and Myanmar. It appears that each country is in turmoil for different reasons, but the nefarious designs of international finance capital can be traced everywhere. This, of course, is being resisted in many countries, particularly in Latin America. Dear comrades, more than 7 decades after independence, poverty and extreme inequality continue to plague our country. The situation has worsened in the last few years. Our country has seen a sharp decline on almost every development indicator, including the fundamentals like the hunger index. The concentration of wealth at the top of the society is taking alarming proportions while millions suffer in penury and deprivation. The COVID-19 crisis has exposed the unequal nature of the much trumpeted growth. The BJP government under Narendra Modi is engaged in subverting the basic values that define our nation: secularism, democracy, federalism, welfare state, and independent character of our foreign policy are all being subverted. All institutions like judiciary, election commission, and the parliament are being undermined. Watchdogs of our polity like CBI and Enforcement Directorate are being used to intimidate the political opponents contrary to their mandate. They have a mandate, but they are not allowed to function under their mandate. The BJP, RSS never subscribed to our representative democracy, and now they are subverting the constitutional bedrock of our republic. Comrades, the unilateral abrogation of Article 370, bringing the discriminatory CAA, the pro-corporate farm laws, labor codes are examples of the high-handed authoritarian Modi government. The BJP is using their parliamentary majority to undermine the parliament itself and making it subservient to the whims of the ruling party, snatching its role as the supreme deliberative institution of the nation, which is expected to represent the sovereign will of the people. Parliament is being made redundant. Whoever questions the government and policies is being slapped with sedition and the draconian UAPA. Those who look at the functioning of the government critically are dubbed as anti-nationals and terrorists with the help of a compliant media. Activists working in the activists and intellectuals working for the marginalized disastrous impacts of demonetization and GST continue to hurdle any prospect of economic recovery. The public sector, which mitigated the economic disaster in 2008 and made the country self-reliant, is being privatized. Latest are the plans to sell away railways, LIC, and public sector banks. Public sector banks are being looted and cheated with the blessings of the ruling party to the tune of tens of thousands of crores of rupees by select group of cronies. Economic offenders are being allowed to run away from the country to foreign countries. Unemployment is on the 5-decade high and masses are reeling under inflation. Modi government's pro-corporate policies have benefited a few corporate houses with alarming concentration of the wealth and creating unprecedented inequality. The very names of Adani and Ambani have become synonymous with the cronies. Comrades, the religious and caste-based distinctions have flourished under the BJP RSS regime. The RSS and its affiliates continue to polarize the society on communal lines and create an atmosphere of fear, hatred, and divide. In their aggressive move, the RSS BJP combine is not only taking steps to rewrite history, but also to redefine the Indian nation. They claim they are in the process of building Hindu Rashtra, which was emphatically rejected by Dr. Ambedkar at the time of making the constitution. The Manuvadi RSS is full of contempt for the idea of annihilation of caste as propounded by Dr. Ambedkar, and continues to represent and perpetuate the ideology of caste hierarchy and discrimination. Comrades, under the leadership and mindset of the RSS, attacks on Dalits and tribals have increased manifold. Caste atrocities are on increase with impunity. The left should intensify the struggles, mobilizing the anti-caste forces. Comrades, similarly, the institution of patriarchy is getting strengthened under the same Manuvadi agenda, which looks at women, our women, as inferior beings and belittle their effort to achieve equality and justice. While fighting against the BJP RSS combined, uncompromisingly, our struggle should include gender issues. Comrades like Geeta Mukherjee and others struggle for women's reservation and representation and gender equality. It is on us now, today, it is on us now to carry forward the baton forward. Comrades, we should be aware of the communist movement in India is almost a century old now. Almost century old. And now it remains an important contributor, conscious keeper in shaping and changing the political course in our country. We should remain conscious of our historical role in shaping the agenda for the country. From fighting the British imperialists to the inequalities of Indian society, today the communists who have been and remain at the forefront gave every popular movement a progressive ideological agenda. During these 100 years or so, Indian society has undergone major churnings, and our future programs should be based on the constantly evolving political situation around us. Comrades, while applying Marxism to Indian conditions, communists have to intensify the struggle on the issues of caste, class, and patriarchy. Revolution in India is to intensify the class struggle against all forms of exploitations and enslavements for social justice, equality, and socialism. Comrades, we the communists should build popular movements on the issues such as education, healthcare, employment, and housing to the people, particularly for the toiling people. Recently, in an interview to media agency, the Prime Minister called communism is a dangerous ideology. He made that comment, communism is a dangerous ideology. To which I replied, yes, Mr. Modi, we are dangerous to the communal ideology of RSS. Yes, we are dangerous to the communal ideology of RSS. We are dangerous to your divisive agenda. We are dangerous since we are relentless and uncompromising in resisting your crony capitalism and loot of national assets. We are dangerous for we offer ideological resistance to the RSS. Yes, I accept we are dangerous to the RSS because the RSS is dangerous to the nation, to the people. Our party has been consistently saying that reunification of the communist movement on principled basis, it is not reunification of some parties, reunification of the entire communist movement on principled basis is the need of the emerging situation in the country. That is how we visualize, we assess the situation. This is a challenge before us to prove that we are dangerous for the RSS. We should challenge RSS and we should tell them we don't agree with RSS. We are dangerous to you because you are dangerous to the entire country and people. Comrades, this is a challenge before us to prove that we are genuinely dangerous for the RSS. We should engage in introspection on how to achieve the unity needed to politically, ideologically defeat RSS. The ongoing 23rd Congress of CPIM and the upcoming 24th Congress of the CPI in the month of October 2022 at Vijayawada are the best platforms. I think this is the best platform, and the CPI 24th Congress will be another platform for us to introspect, discuss and debate all those issues and come up with concrete, actionable programs corresponding to the realities of our time. Comrades and friends, I am certain the deliberations of the 23rd Congress of CPIM, which is now starting its work, will contribute in the consolidation of the left unity and popular struggles against RSS, BJP combined. I wish the 23rd Congress of the CPM all the success. Comrades, strengthen the left unity. Long live Marxism-Leninism. Ingulab Zindabad. My revolutionary greetings again. Thank you, comrades.
I am extending thanks to Comrade D. Raja for delivering his fraternal speech. Now, General Secretary, Forward Bloc, General Secretary RSP.
At Kannur, Kerala. Thank you very much. You may be aware that the National Council meeting of AIFB is going to be held on 7th, 8th and 9th of April 2022 at Bhubaneswar, Odisha. Therefore, I am unable to attend your party congress. Kindly excuse me for this inconvenience. However, I wish all success to your party congress. This important 23rd Congress of CPIM is being held at a time when our country is confronting serious socio-political and economic crisis due to the anti-people policies of the Modi government. The Modi government is undermining the time-tested will also discuss the crisis being faced by the left parties of the country in the contemporary period. We are relentlessly organizing mass movements of the farmers, working people, youth, students, women, and other marginalized people. But our organizations are unable to translate these people's resentments into popular votes during elections. A concerted effort is needed to examine the lacunae in our movements, and we should adopt collective measures to rectify our shortcomings. Once again, I wish all success to your warm communist greetings to all of you and wish your deliberations all success. I am thankful to Comrade Sitaram Yechury for inviting me to this inaugural session. But unfortunately, as the dates of your Congress clash with our Central Committee meeting in Ranchi, I am therefore sending this written message to greet your Congress. As you assemble for your 23rd Congress in the shadow of a prolonged pandemic, we are witnessing yet another war in Europe. Putin has declared independent Ukraine a mistake of Lenin and is threatening to undo it by bombing the second largest former Soviet republic out of existence. The war on Ukraine has been on for more than a month now and has already killed thousands of civilians and forced millions to flee for safety. India has the largest number of foreign students studying in Ukraine, and yet the Modi government did precious little by way of diplomatic initiatives to stop the war or logistical arrangements to ensure speedy and safe evacuation of Indian students stuck in Ukraine. Just as Modi's India has betrayed the Palestinian cause in the face of intensified Israeli aggression, it now effectively supports Putin's invasion of Ukraine. The victorious revolution of 1917 had not only snapped the imperialist chain in its weakest link and freed Russia from the shackles of the Tsarist autocracy, it has also ended the toxic domination of the Great Russian chauvinism to turn the prison of nationality. To a few corporations, and in the name of a strong nation, the rights of citizens and states enshrined in the Constitution are being systematically ended. Dissent is being incriminated and silenced, and rational, progressive voices are being relentlessly stifled in the academia, media, and cultural sphere. If the pandemic emboldened the Modi government to seek opportunities in the crisis, the 75th anniversary of India's independence has come as an opportune moment and platform to hijack many of India's freedom movement leaders and rewrite the history of India's freedom movement and the very meaning of independence from the Hindutva point of view. Clearly, modern India has never faced such a severe and sustained assault on the diversity that defines India and the basic democratic framework that has sustained India's unity and advance, however retarded till now. The weak institutional framework of Indian democracy is crumbling in the face of this fascist offensive. This reminds us of the warnings that Dr. Ambedkar had sounded at the time of the adoption of India's constitution. He had described the constitution as a top dressing of democracy on a soil that is essentially anti-democratic. And 7 decades later, we see that topsoil cracking up. We have now clearly reached a stage of fascist aggression where democracy has to be rescued and defended by all means. Even as the institutions have proved to be weak and deficient, the people of India have sensed the danger and are coming out repeatedly on the streets in unprecedented struggles. The Shaheen Bag movement for equal citizenship. Students will be celebrating its century 3 years later. During the freedom movement and for much of India's early post-independence decades, the RSS remained weak, isolated, and hugely discredited. But today, from the vantage position of power at the center and in most of India's states, and thanks to its growing penetration in most of India's institutions, it thinks it has reached a now or never moment to redesign and redefine India according to its Hindu supremacist and anti-democratic agenda and outlook. The onus is on Indian communists and other progressive forces to foil this RSS design. The freedom movement had given us a radical legacy, much of which was never really fulfilled, and the rest is being sought to be destroyed and reversed now. It gave us a secular and inclusive national identity that respected differences and diversity and made us part of the international anti-imperialist, anti-colonial, anti-fascist awakening and socialist dream that inspired the 20th century. It gave us the Kisan Manifesto for abolition of landlordism and freedom from debt, the clarion call of caste annihilation and social equality, the economic vision of using the country's resources for the welfare of the people. It gave us the Constitution with its Declaration of Rights. Armed with this rich inheritance, we must wage a renewed battle for freedom, freedom from fascism. The circumstances are absolutely compelling for all of us in the left to unite and fight back with all our strength. We have managed to attain a better degree of coordination in several states and also at the All India level. We have been together in securing impressive electoral victories in Bihar. Our tactical differences, of course, came to the fore in West Bengal, as noted in your draft resolution. We believe Dear Comrade Sitaram Yechuri, General Secretary CPIM, I thank fully acknowledge the invitation millions of downtrodden people of our country. We must have to combat the unabated anti-people aggression of the present NDA government at the center and most of the state governments. The Modi government in particular is arrogantly keen to subserve the interests of ugly profit maximization bid of the international oligarchy led by the US imperialism. The crisis-ridden international capital is yet to identify any meaningful way out from the severest crisis that was manifested virtually the world over in 2008. The Modi government has been advised and entrusted to expose the large number of people of the dear country of ours to the brink of ominous disaster for salvaging the tyrannical world capitalism. The aggressive misadventure of the present government to distort and disown the very legacy of our anti-imperialist struggles is replete in its nefarious attempts to do away with the very democratic rights of the people, particularly the working class and peasantry. The constitution of the independent India is also being trampled, misinterpreted at will. The dispensation of neoliberal capitalism is being blatantly or virulently pursued by the present government of the country. The deep-seated conspiracies are being hatched to push the vast majority of the country to extreme poverty, unemployment, and inevitable destitution. The paradigm of development as envisaged to accomplish the task as designed by the most privileged metropolitan capital are being dumped on the governments and the planners of India. The Modi government is perpetually indulging in blatant prevarication to disorient the psyche of common people. We must garner enough courage to disown and challenge this sort of paradigm by all means. This is, of course, apparently quite alluring to deceive the people at large with some sort of spectacular showcasing. According to our party, we must adopt a non-conformist attitude to such and resolve to fight out the anti-people designs of the nexus of RSS and BJP. This need no reiteration that we, the lefts, particularly the Marxist-Leninist political parties, are entrusted with the responsibility of promoting the common people's interests by all means. The fascist and hydra-headed RSS, with the advantage of the Modi government, is all out at the present to demolish the unity and integrity of the toiling people. The united left must philosophically combat these horrific attempts of the present. The new education policy or other retrograde socio-cultural policies of the Modi government are simply an insidious attempt to push the tendentious theories of Hindutva primacy at the expense of modern scientific knowledge. The young peoples of the country will be the worst victims of such malicious attempts. Let us not raise the issue of all-pervasive and disastrous economic policies being hotly pursued by the Modi government, as you are more than aware of those. We hope your 23rd Party Congress will not only interpret the situation both nationally and internationally, but will be keen to chalk out programs to change. We may assimilate the lessons of present changes, taking firm turn in the Latin American countries like Peru, Chile, Bolivia, Brazil, etc. These nations are primarily committed to advance the anti-imperialist struggles to emancipate the peoples from the tyranny of the imperialism, capitalism in particular. However, we need not require to impart more of knowledge to the enlightened delegates who are keenly involved in the struggle for the toiling millions of India. We once again wish your 23rd Party Congress a grand success and extend our heartiest greetings to all the delegates from all corners of the country. Thanking you with revolutionary greetings, yours comradely, Manoj Bhattacharya, General Secretary, RSP. Thank you. After your speech. No. Even before that. I have not gone through this. Even once.
Comrades and friends, our guests, now I shall read out the list of the communist and workers' parties from different countries, those who have sent their written messages wishing the grand success of our 23rd Party Congress. Communist Party of China, Communist Party of Vietnam, Communist Party of Cuba, Workers' Party of Korea, Lao People's Revolutionary Party, Communist Party of Australia, Communist Party of Bangladesh, Workers' Party of Bangladesh, Workers' Party of Belgium, Communist Party of Bohemia and Moravia, Communist Party of Brazil, Communist Party of Britain, Communist Party of Burma, Communist Party of Chile, AKEL of Cyprus, this is the name of their party, Galician People's Union, German Communist Party, Die Linke, Germany, Communist Party of Greece, Tudeh Party of Iran, Iraqi Communist Party, Communist Party of Ireland, Workers' Party of Ireland, Italian Communist Party, Japanese Communist Party, Communist Party of Nepal, UML, Communist Party of Nepal, United Socialist, Communist Party of Pakistan, Palestinian Communist Party, Communist Party of Russian Federation, Communist Party of the Peoples of Spain, PCPE, within bracket, People's Liberation Front, Sri Lanka, within bracket, JVP, Communist Party of Turkey, Communist Party of USA, Communist Party of Venezuela, South African Communist Party, Portuguese Communist Party. I would like to tell you, all their messages would not be read here. Only I am requesting Comrade Baby, our Politburo member, to read the written messages sent to us from Communist Party of China, Communist Party of Vietnam, Communist Party of Cuba, Workers' Party of Korea, Laos People's Revolutionary Party, socialist countries. Now, Comrade Baby will read out their messages.
Delighted to learn that the Communist Party of India Marxist will convene its 23rd National Congress. The International Department of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of China wishes to extend to you our warm congratulations. With a history of over 100 years, the Communist Party of India Marxist has been an important player in the political arena of India, long committed to exploring a path to socialism compatible with the actual conditions. We believe that the forthcoming National Congress will lead the Communist Party of India Marxist to make bigger contribution to the economic development and social progress of India. The Communist Party of China maintains close and friendly interactions with the Communist Party of India Marxist, which has played a positive role in enhancing the friendship and mutual trust between our countries and two peoples. The Communist Party of China stands ready to further deepen exchanges and cooperation with the Communist Party of India Marxist through the sharing and mutual learning of a governance experience, as well as the strengthening of communication and collaboration on the development of relations between our two countries and on regional and international issues of mutual interest, thus making active efforts to build a new type of party-to-party relations that seeks to expand common ground while reserving differences and enhances mutual respect and mutual learning, injecting more positive energy into the promotion of sound and steady development of bilateral relations and working together to bring out even greater vigor of Marxism in the 21st century. We wish the forthcoming Congress a complete success. International Department, Central Committee, Communist Party of China. Greetings from Communist Party of Cuba. Comrade Sitaram Yechury, General Secretary of the Communist Party of India Marxist. Dear Sitaram Yechury, on behalf of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of Cuba, kindly receive a fraternal